In an unexpected turn of events that captured nationwide attention, a prominent judge imposed a fine on actor Jason Statham during a recent court appearance. The incident unfolded not only as an unusual application of courtroom decorum but also as a catalyst for a broader conversation about personal beliefs and their place in legal proceedings. Statham, known for his action-packed roles and tough guy persona, appeared before the court, dressed stylishly yet respectfully. However, it was a simple piece of jewelry, a cross pendant, that ignited controversy and ultimately led to the judge's decision. The courtroom atmosphere was charged with anticipation. Members of the press and public gathered, eager to witness the proceedings involving the high-profile actor. The case at hand was serious, relating to allegations concerning a minor traffic violation that had escalated beyond its original premise. As Statham entered the room, his demeanor was calm, perhaps reflective of someone accustomed to facing intense scrutiny. Little did anyone know that this day would not only challenge his character but also expose deeper undercurrents of legal interpretation and individual rights. As the proceedings began, attention quickly shifted from the legal matter at hand to Statham's attire. The cross he wore seemed innocuous enough, a personal symbol of faith for many, but within the walls of the courtroom, it became a point of contention. The presiding judge, known for her strict adherence to courtroom rules and decorum, eyed it with disapproval. In her view, symbols of personal belief could be perceived as distractions in what should be an impartial setting dedicated solely to justice. When she finally issued her ruling and fined Statham for wearing the cross, gasps echoed through the room. Legal experts watching from afar quickly began assessing her reasoning. Was this fine grounded in legal precedent, or merely a reflection of personal bias? The implications were significant and sparked discussions on social media platforms almost immediately. Statham's fans reacted fiercely. Many took to social media to voice their outrage over what they perceived as an infringement on freedom of expression. Comments flowed in waves, some defending Statham's right to display his faith through his choice of jewelry, while others criticized him for seemingly disregarding courtroom customs. In this whirlwind of opinions and emotions lay a vital question. Where does one draw the line between personal beliefs and societal expectations? As news outlets began covering the story extensively, opinions varied widely among legal commentators regarding whether or not such fines could hold up under scrutiny in higher courts. Some suggested that similar cases could arise in future courtrooms as society grapples with balancing individual rights with maintaining order within judicial settings. Beyond just being another celebrity headline, this incident struck a chord with many who saw it as emblematic of larger cultural clashes occurring in contemporary society, clashes between tradition and progressive ideals, between authority figures asserting control and individuals demanding recognition of their rights. What made this situation even more compelling was how it would eventually lead to deeper inquiries into the judge's own legal wisdom and experience. Though her initial ruling seemed harsh at first glance, insiders would later uncover aspects of her background that illuminated her motivations. She had spent years advocating for various interpretations around freedom of expression within legal frameworks. As we delve further into this story, it becomes clear that what felt like a simple courtroom drama involving Jason Statham evolved into something much larger, one that questioned fundamental beliefs about justice itself and our collective understanding of rights within modern society. Although it started with a fine for wearing a cross, it unexpectedly opened doors into conversations about faith, freedom, authority, and ultimately what brilliance lies within the law itself, when examined closely. Jason Statham, a name synonymous with action and grit, has carved an indelible mark in the film industry since his breakthrough in the late 1990s. Born on July 26, 1967, in Shirebrook, Derbyshire, England, Statham's journey to stardom was anything but conventional. He grew up in a working-class family, with a father who was a street seller and a mother who was a dancer. He developed an early affinity for sports, particularly martial arts and diving. This athletic prowess would later serve him well as he transitioned into the fast-paced world of action films. Statham's entry into acting came through a rather serendipitous route. After years of competing as a diver for Britain's national diving squad, he was spotted by a casting director while modeling for French Connection. His debut role in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, 1998, directed by Guy Ritchie, not only showcased his rugged charm but also introduced audiences to his unique blend of charisma and intensity. The film quickly became a cult classic, catapulting him into the limelight. Following this initial success, Statham solidified his status as an action star with key roles in films such as Snatch, 2000, and The Transporter series, 2002 to 2008. His portrayal of Frank Martin, a professional driver and skilled fighter, became iconic. It defined his brand of high-octane action and intricate fight choreography. This role set the template for his future characters, stoic yet relatable protagonists who navigate dangerous situations with finesse and style. As his career skyrocketed, Statham continued to take on diverse projects that tested his range. In addition to action blockbusters like Crank, 2006, The Expendables series, 2010 to 2014, and the Fast and Furious franchise, he ventured into more dramatic territory with films like The Mechanic, 2011, and even tried his hand at comedy in the buddy cop film Spy, 2015, showcasing his versatility. Despite his fame and fortune, Statham's life hasn't been devoid of controversy. His off-screen persona mirrors that of the tough characters he portrays. He often exhibits a brash confidence that has occasionally landed him in the media spotlight for negative reasons. For instance, he has been involved in disputes over contracts and has had run-ins with the law primarily related to traffic violations, issues legacy to his fast-driving image and penchant for speed. Statham is not just known for his impressive filmography. He has also earned recognition for his dedication to fitness, often sharing rigorous training regimens that inspire fans around the world. His reputation as a physical actor means he undertakes many of his stunts personally, resulting in injuries that are well documented in tabloids but rarely deter him from pushing his limits. Moreover, Statham's public persona is marked by his relationships with other celebrities and high-profile figures, including model Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, whom he has been engaged to since 2016. The couple welcomed their first child in 2017, which endeared him further to fans who appreciate glimpses into his personal life beyond the silver screen. As we delve deeper into the incident involving Statham's fine for wearing a cross pendant in court, it becomes clearer that this moment may be viewed through multiple lenses, as an exploration of individual freedom against societal expectations and the scrutiny that comes from being in the public eye. This backdrop enriches our understanding of Jason Statham, not merely as an action star but as a complex figure navigating the intersection of fame, personal beliefs, and legal boundaries. The courtroom was filled with a palpable tension as Jason Statham entered to face the judge regarding a minor traffic violation that had spiraled into unexpected legal drama. The offense, initially concerning an alleged speeding incident, took on new dimensions when Statham appeared wearing a cross pendant, a gesture that would soon ignite controversy and lead to an unprecedented ruling. As the proceedings commenced, the judge, known for her strict adherence to courtroom decorum, quickly directed attention to Statham's choice of jewelry. The case began on standard legal ground, with the prosecution presenting evidence of the speeding incident captured by a traffic camera. Statham's lawyer argued that his client had been driving within the speed limit and suggested that a misunderstanding had occurred due to misleading signage in the area. The actor maintained a calm demeanor, relying on his established reputation as someone who remained composed even under scrutiny. However, as discussions continued, the judge's focus shifted from the specifics of the case to Statham's cross pendant. She expressed her concern that such personal symbols could detract from the seriousness of court proceedings, potentially influencing jurors or observers by introducing elements of personal belief into what should be an impartial environment. The courtroom audience exchanged glances. Murmurs began circulating about whether this was appropriate behavior from a judge and what it meant for freedom of expression. When she issued her ruling, an unexpected fine for wearing the cross, gasps echoed throughout the room. Legal experts watching closely questioned whether her decision was based on established legal precedent, or if it stemmed from subjective interpretations of courtroom etiquette. Was this fine an overreach of judicial authority? Or was it justified in maintaining decorum? These questions loomed large as public interest surged around Statham's unique predicament. In response to the ruling, Statham's legal team immediately filed for reconsideration, arguing that the fine infringed upon his rights to express personal beliefs freely. They contended that requiring individuals to suppress their expressions of faith contradicted fundamental freedoms guaranteed by law. This line of argument resonated with many observers who believed that personal faith should not be subject to judgment within legal contexts. The media quickly picked up on the story, framing it as a battle between individual rights and institutional authority. Outlets flooded social media platforms with commentary and analysis about both Statham's reputation and the implications of such a ruling on broader societal norms regarding religious expression in public spaces. Fans rallied behind him, expressing outrage over what they perceived as an infringement upon his freedom, a sentiment echoed in countless online forums and celebrity news outlets. As discussions continued both inside and outside the courtroom walls, it became evident that this incident transcended its immediate context. Commentators began exploring how this case could set precedents for future rulings involving similar matters of faith expression within judicial settings. Questions arose about whether other public figures or ordinary citizens might face similar scrutiny when expressing their beliefs in environments where neutrality is expected. Ultimately, while Statham faced consequences for his choice of attire during a routine court appearance, he unwittingly became emblematic of larger discussions surrounding individual rights versus collective expectations in society today. As stakeholders engaged in vigorous debates about freedom of expression and authority within legal frameworks, one thing became clear: this seemingly simple incident had unfolded into a complex examination of justice itself, a reflection on how deeply intertwined our beliefs are with our public lives and identities. With each subsequent development in this ongoing saga, whether through legal proceedings or public opinion, the narrative only grew richer and more layered, revealing not just Jason Statham's resilience but also shining light on society's struggle to reconcile personal values with institutional norms in ever-evolving conversations about justice and expression. As the courtroom buzzed with chatter and speculation following the ruling against Jason Statham, the judge, known for her strict commitment to maintaining decorum, provided insight into her rationale for the fine. Her decision was not arbitrary. It stemmed from a blend of established legal principles and her interpretation of courtroom standards. During the proceedings, the judge articulated her belief that a courtroom must remain a neutral space, free from any symbols that could be interpreted as influencing the proceedings or swaying public opinion. She expressed concern that Statham's cross pendant, a personal symbol of faith, might detract from the seriousness of the legal matters at hand. In her view, the presence of such symbols in court could introduce bias, potentially affecting how jurors or observers perceived not only the defendant but also the integrity of the judicial process itself. This perspective is rooted in long-standing legal traditions that prioritize impartiality in courtrooms. Judges are often tasked with ensuring that all parties involved can engage in proceedings free from distractions or potential prejudices. While courtroom decorum varies by jurisdiction, many courts share a common goal: to uphold respect and neutrality. The judge pointed to this principle as a cornerstone of justice, suggesting that personal beliefs should be expressed outside the confines of legal settings where objectivity is paramount. Moreover, she referenced relevant case law that has addressed similar issues in the past. Legal precedents highlight the importance of maintaining a level playing field within courtrooms, which often leads to rulings that limit expressions deemed potentially disruptive. While these cases typically involve more overt displays of partisanship or political symbols, the judge felt that Statham's choice to wear the cross pendant fell within a gray area that warranted scrutiny. Critics of the ruling quickly emerged, questioning whether such an interpretation of decorum was excessively stringent. Legal scholars debated whether fining an individual for expressing their faith infringed upon constitutional rights, particularly those enshrined in freedom of expression. These discussions ignited fierce public interest, with many arguing that personal faith is a fundamental aspect of identity that should not be subject to regulation within a legal context. The media played a crucial role in amplifying these debates. Commentary from legal experts dissected the nuances of courtroom decorum versus individual rights, examining whether the judge's decision might set a troubling precedent for future cases involving personal beliefs. Articles and opinion pieces appeared across various platforms, framing Statham's fine as emblematic of a larger societal conflict between authority and personal freedoms. While some praised the judge for her commitment to maintaining decorum, others cautioned against overreach that could stifle individual expression. This dichotomy mirrored broader cultural conversations about how personal identity is navigated in public spaces, especially for high-profile individuals like Statham. Observers began to question whether celebrity status should afford actors greater latitude when it comes to personal expression in courtrooms, or if it should subject them to stricter scrutiny given their visibility. Ultimately, the judge's rationale highlighted a critical tension within the legal system, balancing respect for individual beliefs against the necessity for impartiality during legal proceedings. As discussions progressed, it became clear that this case was far more than just about Statham and his cross. It opened up inquiries into how society defines and defends personal expression in various contexts. In reflecting on her ruling, the judge emphasized her duty to uphold both justice and the sanctity of the courtroom environment. Yet as public opinion continued to evolve around this incident, many began to wonder if there might be room for reinterpretation, an acknowledgement that perhaps personal beliefs and courtroom decorum could coexist without compromising either's integrity. This ongoing dialogue would shape future conversations about faith, authority, and individual rights within the realm of justice itself. Following the controversial ruling against Jason Statham for wearing a cross pendant in court, reactions poured in from fans, media outlets, and fellow celebrities, each weighing in on the implications of the incident. In the age of social media, where public opinion can be amplified almost instantaneously, the courtroom scene quickly became a hot topic across various platforms. Fans rallied around Statham, expressing outrage at what they perceived as an infringement on his freedom of expression. Hashtags like #JusticeForStatham and #FreeToExpress trended on Twitter, as supporters voiced their disdain for the judge's decision. Many shared personal stories of how their faith played an integral role in their lives, arguing that Statham's choice to wear a cross, a deeply personal symbol, should not warrant punishment. Supporters also emphasized that public figures often face scrutiny that ordinary citizens do not, questioning whether Statham's celebrity status played a role in the judge's decision to issue a fine. Media outlets quickly seized on the story, framing it as a clash of individual rights versus institutional authority. Articles dissected not just the ruling but the broader implications it held for religious expression and personal belief within legal contexts. Editorials and opinion pieces emerged almost immediately, with commentary ranging from staunch support for the judge's commitment to courtroom decorum to scathing critiques about overreach and potential discrimination against faith-based expressions. The narrative painted by these outlets underscored society's ongoing struggle to balance respect for personal beliefs with the need for impartiality within judicial settings. Celebrity responses varied widely as well. Some figures jumped into the fray to support Statham openly. Fellow actors and public personalities took to their platforms to express solidarity, emphasizing that everyone should have the right to express their beliefs without fear of repercussion or judgment. Comments made by high-profile friends of Statham suggested that this situation was indicative of a larger trend toward restricting individual freedoms based on subjective interpretations of decorum. Conversely, there were voices within Hollywood who cautioned against equating personal expression with courtroom standards. Some industry insiders argued that while individual rights must be upheld, courts require an environment free from distractions to function effectively. They pointed out that celebrity status does not grant exceptions to established legal protocols aimed at ensuring fairness in judicial proceedings. As public discourse continued to unfold, analysts highlighted the media's role in shaping public perception. The coverage not only focused on Statham as an actor but painted a more complex portrait of him as an individual navigating fame and societal expectations. This case became more than just about one man and a cross. It evolved into a platform for discussing broader issues surrounding faith, identity, and expression in public life. The courtroom incident ignited petitions calling for changes to how religious symbols are addressed in court settings across the country. Advocates argued that there should be clearer guidelines protecting individual expressions of faith within legal contexts without compromising courtroom integrity. The push for reform gained momentum as more people engaged in discussions about how future cases might bend or reinterpret existing legal frameworks related to personal beliefs. Amidst this backdrop of fervent debate and varying opinions emerged an unexpected realization. Jason Statham's fine had catalyzed significant discussions around fundamental freedoms, a turning point encapsulating complex interactions between identity and authority in modern society. As conversations expanded outward from social media platforms into living rooms nationwide, many began reflecting on what it means to uphold justice while respecting diverse individual beliefs. In summation, what began as a courtroom ruling transformed into an intricate tapestry woven from public sentiment, media analysis, and celebrity commentary, each thread contributing to an ongoing narrative about freedom of expression in contemporary society and showcasing Statham not merely as an actor but as a symbol of larger cultural conversations still being shaped today. In the wake of his fine for wearing a cross pendant in court, Jason Statham's response was marked by a blend of resolve and introspection. As a public figure accustomed to media scrutiny, he understood the gravity of the situation and sought to address it with thoughtful consideration. Shortly after the ruling, Statham and his representatives issued a formal statement that emphasized both his commitment to personal beliefs and the importance of freedom of expression. Statham's statement reflected on the significance of faith in his life, conveying that the cross pendant was not merely an accessory but a symbol of his identity and beliefs. He expressed disappointment over the fine, suggesting it undermined fundamental rights to express oneself freely within any public space, including a courtroom. "Faith is personal," he stated, "and whether it's displayed on my chest or in my actions, it is an intrinsic part of who I am. I believe expressing one's beliefs should be honored, not penalized." Statham's representatives expanded on these sentiments during interviews, affirming their client's stance on the matter. They highlighted that this incident was not solely about an actor's choice of jewelry, but a broader conversation about individuality and autonomy in society. They underscored that many people wear symbols of their faith openly in their daily lives and argued that imposing restrictions on such expressions in court could set a troubling precedent for individual rights. Their advocacy drew attention to how personal belief systems play out in public venues, and the implications for everyday citizens who may find themselves similarly affected. "If this can happen to someone like Jason," they asserted, "what does that mean for everyone else? We must ensure that our courts are places where all are free to express their true selves without fear of repercussion." Alongside his formal statements, Statham utilized social media platforms to reach out directly to his fans and the public. Through a series of posts, he likely aimed to foster dialogue around the issue, encouraging discussions about respect for diverse beliefs in all societal spaces. His approach resonated well with supporters who shared their own experiences of faith and identity struggles, further galvanizing conversations around the topic. Furthermore, Statham's response emphasized a shared sense of community among those who felt similarly stifled by undue scrutiny over personal expression. He acknowledged that societal expectations often imposed restrictions on individuals when it came to expressing their beliefs, highlighting that this ruling resonated far beyond his personal situation. As discussions grew around freedom of expression in legal frameworks, Statham became a figurehead in advocating for awareness and systemic changes in judicial environments concerning personal symbols and religious expressions. His willingness to stand firm in the face of controversy garnered both admiration and criticism but undeniably elevated the conversation surrounding acceptable behavior in courtrooms, creating ripples that extended across various sectors. Statham ultimately recognized the incident as a dual-edged sword. While it thrust him into an uncomfortable spotlight, it also allowed him to leverage his platform to advocate for integrity in how individuals can express faith openly without facing judgment or penalties. The actor's narrative began shifting from merely being a celebrated action star to being viewed as an important voice navigating cultural intersections where faith meets law. In public forums, Statham called for greater awareness surrounding individual rights, suggesting that all courtrooms should strive toward inclusivity regarding personal beliefs and expressions. His call to action for people navigating similar struggles encouraged support networks aimed at creating safe spaces for discussing complex issues related to identity within stark institutional settings. As debates surrounding Statham's fine continued to unfold on various platforms, it became clear that his response catalyzed a larger movement toward recognizing the necessity of reforming how personal beliefs are viewed in judicial contexts, ultimately emphasizing that individual expression should never be compromised in favor of conformity or decorum. In championing this cause, Statham sought not only to reclaim his right to express his faith but to inspire others to stand firm in their own beliefs amidst pressures to conform. The legal implications of the ruling against Jason Statham for wearing a cross pendant in court extended far beyond his personal experience, potentially setting significant precedents for future cases involving the intersection of personal expression and judicial environments. As discussions ensued regarding freedom of expression and courtroom decorum, legal experts began to analyze how this ruling could influence similar situations moving forward. At the heart of the debate lay the question of whether the judge's decision infringed upon Statham's constitutional rights. The First Amendment guarantees the freedom of expression, and many critics argued that fining Statham for displaying a personal symbol of faith raises serious concerns about how individual beliefs are treated in legal contexts. If courts begin to restrict such expressions, it could establish a troubling trend that diminishes fundamental rights not only for celebrities but for all individuals appearing in court. Legal analysts noted that courtroom decorum is indeed crucial. However, they also stressed that maintaining an impartial environment should not come at the cost of suppressing legitimate expressions of personal identity. A growing number of commentators suggested that there needs to be a balance between preserving the integrity of judicial proceedings and upholding individual freedoms. They posited that this case could serve as a reference point for future disputes over religious or personal symbols in courtrooms across jurisdictions. Moreover, precedents from past cases were examined to contextualize this ruling within a broader legal framework. Various instances have arisen where the courts have grappled with balancing respect for individual beliefs against maintaining neutrality in public settings. However, those cases often involved more conspicuous displays or political expressions rather than subtle symbols of faith like a cross pendant. This nuance makes Statham's case particularly compelling and raises questions about how similar expressions will be treated in future judicial scenarios. Some experts argue that if the ruling against Statham were allowed to stand without challenge, it could lead to further limitations on religious expressions and symbols in various public spheres, ultimately encroaching on individual rights recognized under constitutional law. There are concerns that a precedent based on this case might invite other judges to impose fines or restrictions on individuals expressing their beliefs, particularly when they do so through attire or accessories deemed inappropriate by subjective standards. Conversely, supporters of the judge's ruling maintained that her decision was rooted in maintaining order and focus within court proceedings. They argued that personal expressions, especially those linked to religious beliefs, could lead to distractions or emotional reactions from jurors or observers unfamiliar with those symbols. From this perspective, they posited that it is essential for judges to ensure that courtroom environments remain equitable and objective. In both cases, significant attention focused on how societal attitudes towards faith are evolving within public spaces, particularly in legal contexts. Advocates for reform emerged from this incident, calling for clearer guidelines on how personal belief systems should be respected within judicial settings without compromising due process. Many suggested that establishing such guidelines could enhance accessibility and respect for individuals regardless of their backgrounds while waiting for their cases to be heard. As people continue to scrutinize the implications of this case, it has prompted broader discussions about what constitutes acceptable forms of self-expression in formal situations like court appearances. It has become evident that as society grapples with issues related to identity, faith, and authority, there is a pressing need for legal systems to adapt accordingly, not just in response to high-profile incidents but as part of an evolving understanding of individual rights. Ultimately, as Jason Statham's fine becomes a focal point in these discussions, it serves as both an awakening and invitation for dialogue surrounding personal freedoms within judicial environments. It brings to light the necessity for laws and courtroom procedures that honor diverse identities while preserving judicial integrity, a delicate balance vital for advancing justice while respecting individuality across all levels of society. In navigating these complex waters, both the legal system and society must work collaboratively towards solutions that honor freedoms while ensuring fair treatment for all individuals before the law. The judge who fined Jason Statham for wearing a cross pendant is not only a figure of authority in the courtroom but also possesses a profound legal acumen that has been demonstrated through various insightful rulings and precedents in her career. Known for her strict adherence to courtroom decorum, she has built a reputation for making decisions that, while sometimes controversial, reflect a deep understanding of the law and its societal implications. Her background includes years of experience in both the legal field and as a judicial officer, during which she has handled cases ranging from minor infractions to significant legal challenges. This extensive experience has allowed her to develop a nuanced perspective on how personal beliefs interact with institutional mandates. In previous rulings, she exhibited a keen ability to navigate complex issues related to freedom of expression and the boundaries that come with it, whether in criminal cases or civil matters. In her role, the judge has often addressed the delicate balance that must be maintained between individual rights and the integrity of the judicial process. For instance, she has previously ruled in cases involving public demonstrations and expressions of faith in public institutions, emphasizing the need for neutrality in environments meant to uphold justice. These past decisions resonate vividly within the context of Statham's case, where her ruling reflects her ongoing commitment to ensuring that courtrooms remain free from influences that could compromise impartiality. While some critics of Statham's fine argue that it was an overreach, the judge's supporters highlight her legal reasoning as sound and consistent with established principles governing courtroom conduct. They note that she likely intended to uphold the credibility of the court by maintaining an atmosphere devoid of distractions, including personal symbols that could evoke strong emotional or ideological responses from jurors or onlookers. Her perspective emphasizes that while personal beliefs are vital to individual identity, they must be navigated cautiously within formal settings where fairness is paramount. Furthermore, her approach aligns with legal precedents regarding expressions of faith or political beliefs in public forums. The judge has frequently referenced landmark cases that have grappled with similar tensions, reminding her courtroom audience of the history of challenges faced by individuals seeking to express their beliefs in institutional contexts. Her knowledge of these cases demonstrates her commitment not only to individual rights but also to the overarching principles of judicial integrity. The discourse resulting from this ruling has prompted many observers to reassess how personal identities intersect with legal frameworks. As discussions around Statham's fine continue, the judge stands at the center of a broader conversation about societal values and how they manifest within legal settings. Her role becomes particularly significant as courts face increasing scrutiny regarding how they handle cases involving expressions of faith and personal belief systems. This incident serves as a reflection of evolving societal norms and prompts critical questions about how individuals navigate their identities within institutional constraints. The judge's decision may appear harsh to some, but viewed through the lens of her broader legal philosophy, it serves as a reminder of the challenges inherent in balancing personal expression with impartial judicial proceedings. As public opinion shifts and discussions deepen about religious expression in legal contexts, the judge's rulings may ultimately guide future cases involving similar disputes. Her expertise positions her as a key figure in navigating these complexities, highlighting the importance of establishing clear legal precedents that honor both individual rights and the necessity for decorum within courts. In essence, this incident is noteworthy not only because it features a high-profile actor but also for its implications on judicial practices surrounding personal beliefs. The judge's decisions will likely influence how courts confront questions of faith and identity moving forward, emphasizing the need for continued dialogue about rights in the face of authority. Through this lens, her legal acumen emerges as a crucial component in shaping the future landscape of expression within judicial environments, reflecting both her commitment to justice and her awareness of the broader societal implications tied to individual rights. The incident involving Jason Statham's fine for wearing a cross pendant in court touches on several broader themes within law and society, particularly concerning religious expression, the authority of the courtroom, and the responsibilities of public figures in adhering to legal norms. As this case unfolds, it becomes clear that the implications extend well beyond the immediate facts, reflecting intricate issues between individual freedoms and institutional expectations. Religious expression remains one of the most debated topics in contemporary society, particularly in the context of public life and legal frameworks. Statham's choice to wear a cross pendant represents a tangible assertion of faith, yet it also invites scrutiny on how such expressions are treated in formal settings like courtrooms. The judge's decision to impose a fine raises critical questions about whether such symbols should be permitted in environments dedicated to impartiality and justice. Advocates for personal expression argue that individuals should not have to suppress their beliefs regardless of the setting, while others contend that a neutral courtroom must remain free from any distractions that could influence proceedings. This conflict reflects a broader societal struggle where personal identity is often challenged by systemic structures. People may feel compelled to choose between expressing their beliefs and conforming to established norms dictated by authority figures. In Statham's case, the ruling serves as a microcosm of this larger discussion, prompting calls for clearer guidelines regarding expressions of faith in court settings. Those advocating for greater inclusivity suggest that courts should evolve to better accommodate diverse identities rather than impose restrictive decorum that may inadvertently marginalize individuals based on their beliefs. Moreover, the authority of the courtroom is an essential theme highlighted by this incident. Courts are designed to uphold justice, maintaining decorum and impartiality, yet they also wield considerable power over individuals' rights. The balance between preserving judicial integrity and allowing personal expression is delicate and fraught with challenges. In this case, some view the judge's ruling as an exercise of authority necessary to uphold courtroom standards. However, others perceive it as an encroachment on individual rights. This dichotomy raises concerns about how authority is defined within legal contexts, and who ultimately gets to decide what constitutes acceptable behavior in the pursuit of justice. Public figures such as Statham are often held to different standards than average citizens due to their visibility and influence. The scrutiny placed upon them can amplify discussions surrounding responsibility and accountability in relation to legal norms. While many celebrities also advocate for freedom of expression, they must navigate the delicate intersection between personal beliefs and public perception. Statham's fine highlights this tension. If he is expected to adhere to certain standards in court due to his celebrity status, what precedent does that set for ordinary citizens facing similar circumstances? As discussions continue both inside and outside the courtroom, observers are left contemplating the broader implications of this incident on societal values around faith and expression. It serves as a reminder that personal beliefs are integral components of identity, deserving respect and consideration even within institutional settings designed to ensure fairness and neutrality. Moreover, as society evolves towards greater acceptance of diverse identities, legal systems may need to adapt accordingly. Ultimately, Statham's situation acts as a catalyst for ongoing dialogue around these themes, examining how legal practices can better reflect societal values while still adhering to principles of impartiality. The fallout from this ruling could pave the way for meaningful reform in how courts handle cases involving personal expression, potentially leading to more inclusive environments where individuals feel empowered to represent their identities authentically. The interplay between individual rights and institutional authority continues to challenge societal norms, emphasizing that maintaining decorum should not come at the expense of dignity or self-expression. As conversations progress around these complex issues, there lies an opportunity for courts and communities alike to redefine expectations regarding religious expression and personal identity, ultimately fostering environments where justice is genuinely equitable for all individuals. The incident surrounding Jason Statham's fine for wearing a cross pendant in court serves as a pivotal moment that encapsulates ongoing tensions between personal rights and courtroom traditions. As this case has unfolded, it has illuminated not only the intricacies of legal decorum but also the broader implications of how religious expression is treated within judicial settings. The discussions emerging from this scenario highlight significant takeaways that may influence future legal practices and societal norms. First and foremost, the incident has reignited conversations about the fundamental principles of freedom of expression and how they are upheld in formal environments such as courthouses. Statham's choice to wear a cross was not merely an act of defiance. It represented a deeply held belief integral to his identity. This raises essential questions about why individuals should have to suppress expressions of faith, particularly when they do not disrupt judicial proceedings or compromise fairness.